show brought to you on the Purple Rain podcast. It's now time to do our report cards for all 10 nations. So we do this on the main show with all the PHL teams, where we basically look back on their performances and how they did. So we are now at the team that finished 8th. We're doing it reverse order of the file rankings. So last time we did the team that came 9th in the rankings. This time we're doing the team that came 8th in the rankings. Let's remind who that team was. Okay, here we go. Let's go. It was Italy! It's the host! It's time to host nation! Italy! So Italy ranked 8th in the competition. So they ended up playing 5 games in total. So they're 4 group games plus the quarterfinals against USA. So across those games, they had 2 regulation wins, 0 overtime wins, 0 overtime losses, and 3 regulation losses. Goal differential, they ended up scoring 9, conceded 17. That's a goal differential of -8, and they had 6 points in total. Now, I have to say I was really impressed by Italy. Obviously, going into the tournament, I had no idea what kind of team Italy were going to bring to the fold. But I think what really helped Italy was their preparation. As we all know, they had do we dare call it a centralisation camp? Because technically you don't really need to do centralisation anymore now as a Pro Women's League. But they kind of had like a centralisation camp in Montreal. They did it at the venue where the Victoire played in their inaugural season back in 2024. And they obviously had Daniel Solana, Montreal's GM, as their GM. Also had Eric Bouchard as head coach. I think he could be a PHL coach in the making. I really do. I mean, you know, his story. I think it is a story I'm gonna tell on the podcast. But his story is just incredible when it comes to the women's game. So I think he would make a brilliant PHL coach one day. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so I just felt Italy came into these games wanting to show that they could be able to play with the best of the best. They didn't want to just be just the host nation and be, you get to play in our backyard. They wanted to show that they could actually be and compete with the best of the best, and they so did that. Some of their games were just amazing to watch. In fact, the only game they weren't competitive was against Sweden. That's fair dues. Sweden is the best team in Group B. You'd be lucky you can get a point out of Sweden these days. But the other 3 games against France, Japan, and Germany were just incredible to watch. Although interesting though, first with Italy, that game against France, it didn't at first look like Italy had a lot to show from it, and then in that third period, they just ran away with it and took full control of the game. So I thought, really there. Their game against Japan, I think for me, has got to be the highlight for me because of Italy. They knew they could win that game outright to get the full 3 points. They knew they could win that game outright, that would put them in a really good position to make quarters. And they got a foot in that straight away. They managed to get a 2-0 lead. Even when Japan got that goal to cut the deficit in half, Italy didn't panic. They didn't panic. They managed to ride it out. Japan didn't really show much attack after that goal. And that was the game. What was the history books? And I remember people were saying, that's it, Italy's through. Like, no, not yet. But I remember afterwards, even on the social, everyone saying, Italy's through. Like, no, don't jinx them. No, not yet. No. no, not yet, not yet. Don't count your KFC. Don't count your KFC bargain buckets. Don't, not yet. No. It put them in striking distance. Because obviously, later in that day, Germany got a win over France. That meant Germany sealed their place in the quarters. And then all that needed to happen was the next day, Sweden beats Japan outright. And that's it. Italy's through. And that's what happened. So, but I just remember the rest of the day, I was like, Italy's through, Italy's through. I'm like, no, not yet. Not yet, they're there. They're almost there. Almost there. Almost there. It just needs to see what happens tomorrow. I was like, oh god. It was like, seriously. This is not my first rodeo, guys. Okay, I can do the math. I can do these scenarios. I can work out scenarios. Italy at that point were close, but not over the line just yet. Not over the line just yet. And what was very interesting about that game against Germany was how, okay, by that point, both those teams knew they were through. They were definitely going to be in the knockouts. We all knew one was going to play us, the other was going to play Canada. So that game against Germany and Italy, even though points didn't really matter in terms of need to get qualification, it then became a question of who's going to get second to Sweden in the group. And that game was such a heartbreaker for Italy, because I felt that they were playing very well against the Germans, and then when Germany got that late goal, it was like just a heartbreak. My heart sang for the Italians, because secretly, even though I didn't really mind who was going to face the US in the quarters, secretly, my heart was rooting for Italy, because I wanted Italy to have a really good tournament, because who knows when we'll see Italy again. I mean, Italy's only ever had 2 appearances in the Olympics, and that has been in years when the Olympics has been hosted in Italy. So I feel like for Italy, I really hope we get to see them again at some point on the world stage. So I just, but that game against Germany was a heartbreaker, because it meant that obviously Italy would finish third in the group, would play us rather than Canada. Would Italy have done better against Canada? We'll never know. We'll never know. We'll never know how Italy would have done if they had to go against Canada in the quarters. We'll never know. Probably still would have bowed out, but we'll never know. We will never know. What I thought was interesting in that quarterfinals goes how Italy did make things tricky to begin with. I mean, I remember going into that quarterfinal thinking, okay, we're playing the hosts. It's going to be such momentum on their side. They've made the quarterfinals for probably the first time ever. But I honestly, I kind of felt we probably would get the better of them eventually. It's just it would be a lot more harder than probably would have thought. And Italy in that first period made things very, very interesting. But once the USA found their footing, got the goal score sheet, you just knew the floodgates open. So that scoreline really didn't really tell the full story of that game, but nothing was getting past the USA in these games. So, but I think Italy you did very well to last as long as you did in that game before it then just ran away from you, as we kind of all knew it was going to run away. But I was just so impressed with Italy. Really, really impressed, because I don't think any of us gave Italy a fair hearing going into the tournament. Now, my defence is I had not seen Italy on the world stage before in women's hockey. So that was my excuse. That was my excuse. That was my defence of why I wasn't really giving Italy a fair hearing. That was my excuse. That was my defence, okay? But now I've had a chance to see them on the world stage, I think this is a team that if you were to see them again in the World Championships, or even, dare I say, in 4 years' time in the French Alps, then who knows, maybe Italy could improve on what they did there, and maybe surprise us even further, because teams that used to be these perennial qualifiers Olympics, they're starting to lose their grip, they're starting to lose their footing, and teams like Italy are now kind of on the rise. It was such a shame that Italy couldn't get the victory in Division 1A earlier this year, because obviously Italy and France will both compete in that Division 1A tournament along with the likes of Hungary, Slovakia and the Netherlands. Italy ended up coming third in that tournament, so sadly nowhere near get close to winning promotion, because only one team one promotion from Division 1A this year because we've got a brand new system when it comes to relegation promotion. One team goes down from the top tier, one team goes up for Division 1A. That's how it works going forward now. Yeah, so sadly we'll not get to see Eric Bouchard in his hometown next year, which is going to be a bit of a shame. But yeah, but what an incredible story Italy have had, you know, because, you know, there was so much, you know, in the run-up to this about the Italian delegation with how they're hosting the games and everyone making a big song and dance over nothing about the arenas. No one really paid attention to the team. And yet I felt Italy did the best in terms of preparing themselves for the games. I think a lot of people have seen what they did back in December and thought, really? They're like a little train camp in Montreal? Really? Can you not maybe go and do that in Italy? But I'd say hats off to them. You know, clearly Italy knew that they were going to be seen as like massive underdogs coming into what was a home games. So they clearly thought, we need to do whatever we need to do to get ourselves ready and put ourselves in a strong position to show people that we can actually play with the best of the best. And they did do that. And I was so impressed with what Italy was able to do. The fact that they were able to get close to taking points off Germany, I think, says all we need to know about Germany's performance. Sweden, they did not do well. And I think we all knew with Sweden, they were going to win the group outright. Going into that tournament, I kind of was very confident that Sweden would be winners that group outright. No one was going to really put a scratch over Sweden. And then I thought Germany might be second to the group, and it's a toss-up who gets third. I couldn't tell. Okay? But Italy comes in and just showed great promise throughout these games. It was just incredible to see. And I would love to see Italy on the world stage. I really would. I think Italy did an amazing job. I mean, the game was a great game as a whole, but I felt the team itself showed absolute brilliance. You know, they came together. They showed a really good performance. I was so impressed, you know, because nobody gave Italy a chance. Nobody thought Italy would go through. Nobody thought Italy was going to qualify beyond the knockouts. Nobody thought they would get to knockouts. No one thought that. They thought, a lot of people thought they'd play their group matches, and then that's it. They would bow out graciously, and then we would basically fight out the medals on their turf. That was how everyone saw it. But the fact that Italy got to the quarters, and they put on a really great show, I was so impressed with that. Because I remember we watched the quarterfinal game, and that first period was like, wow, okay, we're being made to fight for it here, guys. You know, Italy's not making it easy, and hats off to them for that. You know, well, you know, give credit where credit's due. You know, hats off to them for doing that. You know, and really trying to, you know, in trying to compete with the best of the best. You know, hats off to them for trying to do that. It's not easy going up against a team like the USA, who you know are going to be seen as number one in the world, and yet Italy, for a full period, did really well, because we did not go on the score sheet, so I think it was the second period, if I remember rightly. So, Italy made us work for that first goal. But of course, once it did, the floodgates just opened. But I was very impressed, particularly with Eric Bouchard's coaching. That, for me, I haven't really talked much about coaching so far in these report cards, but I'm going to do it now, because I have to give credit where credit's due. I just felt, you know, wow. Here is a guy who knows what he's doing, knows how to handle the women's game, knows what he's talking about when it comes to the women's game, and just honestly, wow, what a guy, what a man. Do I dare do the rest of the song? What a mighty fine man. There we go. His coaching was just brilliant, you know, and this is his first Olympic tournament with the team. He hasn't been head coach of the national team for that long, and yet he comes in and he puts them in a position where they qualify to the knockout stages of the Olympic Games on home turf. It's incredible. So this is a guy that I hope is going to have a really long coaching career, both on the international scene, and also hopefully in the leagues if he wants to come in. I do think he is a PHL coach in waiting. I do think if the vacancy was there and a team snapped him up, I think he would do real wonders. In the PHL, I know I keep saying we want to have more women coaches in the PHL, but I wouldn't mind. He's probably one of the few men that wouldn't mind being behind a bench for a PHL team, because I feel his story is just incredible. I mean, we'll talk about it another time. But his story is just incredible. And his coaching, I felt, made a huge difference to this team in terms of getting past the group stages. Because I would not blame anyone for thinking Italy will get to, will go through the groups, won't do well, and would then go home. Wouldn't blame anyone thinking that. But no, this team, they came to play. And I felt Italy gave a really good show. In fact, I want to look at how they did in 2006. Just for, like, reference. I want to look that up. Remember, this is only their second time in the Olympics. So I just want to look at how they did in 2006. So they finished in 8th place 2006, but if I remember rightly, that was only 8 teams, if I remember rightly. I'm just looking that up. Because we haven't been 10 teams for quite some time, for that long. It's only been like the last few that it's been 10 teams. Yeah, so in 2006 we only had 8 teams qualify. It's only been the last few games that we've had now 10. I think it might have been Pyeongchang was the first one, so 8 years now. Don't double check that. Don't call that. Please go double check that. Double check that. So, they came the exact same as they did in 2006. Difference here is 2006, there was only 8 teams, so they ended up coming last. Whereas you fast forward 20 years later, they come in the exact same place, but 2 more teams are in the mix, so it's not as bad as it would have looked 20 years ago. And I think Italy should be so proud of this performance, because you know what? I'm really proud of you guys. You gave us an amazing tournament, and you literally put on quite a show. And I feel like this is what we see for the host nation, because the host nations haven't done great during my time with the Olympics. Maybe we need to do an episode on that. Maybe we need to do an episode on that. But Canada obviously won it in 2010, and they were the host nation. But since then, it's not been really good news for the host nations. So Italy doing the best probably since Canada is incredible. The fact that they not only managed to get past the group stages, but they get to knockout stages, they go head to head with the greatest team in the world. And I don't know, but as fuck, whatever, move on. Yeah, we know, I'm Team USA through and through, I know. But the fact they're able to do that and go and give us a real good run for money, that just shows that I feel like the Italian program is on a really good step. I feel like it's got a really good future. And it'll be interesting to see, what happens, in a few years' time, when we get back to qualification again. Could Italy somehow find a way to qualify? Could happen. It could happen. Obviously we'll expect Sweden to qualify easily, no problem. But don't be surprised if Italy somehow finds a way to win qualification into the French Alps in 2030. I would love that. I would love to see Italy back again. I don't want to have to wait another 20 years for Italy to be back in the Olympics. I really don't. And not because I'll be a very, very old man by then. Mentally, I should say. But it's because I feel like this team deserves to be on the world stage more frequently than it has done over the past 20 years. They haven't really had that much luck in the World Championships either. I don't think they've ever been to the top division. Certainly not during my time. And they came third this year in the Division 1A. So sadly, nowhere near to qualify because it's the team that wins Division 1A promotion to top tier. And then in the top tier we have a relegation playoff game to determine who gets relegated back into Division 1A. That's how it works now going forward. So it might take a few more tournaments for Italy to then find their groove and somehow get into top tier. I think we could definitely in the future we'll definitely see Italy at the top tier. Because I feel like this nation is on the rise, and I think the legacy of Milano Cortina will really help, get more people in Italy, involved in the game, want to take up the game, and hopefully that will give Italy the boost that they need. Because I think if any team could build on the legacy of home games, it's probably going to be this team, and they've done so well. I'm just looking forward to see what's next. I'm really looking forward to see what's coming next to Italy because they've got a really bright future ahead of them. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens in a few years' time and see what happens when the team goes. But honestly, I was so impressed with their performance in La Cortina. I mean, that game against Japan, for me, is a highlight reel. That game for me against Japan was a highlight reel because that was the game that helped secure their position in the knockouts, and hats off to them for doing that. Hats off to them for being able to find a way to do that. Incredible. Just incredible. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of what Italy's managed to do this year. Really, really proud indeed. Yeah, just incredible. And obviously, Eric Bouchard, he played a key role in that. Okay, that's going to conclude the report card for Team Italy. Like I said, honestly, they did so well. They did so amazingly well. They should be so proud of themselves. And Eric Bouchard just was a brilliant coach for them. He really, really was indeed. Okay, that's going to be all until next time. Take care and ciao.